And honestly, oil hasn't really responded much to that. Still definitely not really pricing in a lot of these geopolitical factors that could very well, make oil skyrocket. What is up, everyone? So today I want to give a quick update on what's been going on in the oil markets the past few weeks. I know it's been a good 3-4 weeks since I last uploaded my last video, and I do apologize for that. I want to get on a more regular uploading schedule to at least once a week, and if not 2 or 3 times a week from here on out. And also my other videos, I will be going over other topics non-oil related. It's just that since I am so heavily invested in oil, this is what I follow the most closely, is oil and just like oil related news. So this is definitely what I know the most about, but I do research other topics as well that I'll go into more in depth in some other videos. So yeah, there's been a ton of stuff that's happened in the last few weeks. First thing I want to cover is that OPEC decided to increase their output, and that's mainly going to be from Saudi Arabia and UAE. And I think they agreed on a 1 million barrel per day increase, but they've only increased about 500,000 to 700,000. And actually a lot of that has been from Saudi Arabia's inventories, so they actually haven't increased production that much. And there is a big theory out there, and with a lot of evidence backed by it, that Saudi Arabia and the rest of OPEC is pretty much maxed out at what it can produce. And the reason why they decided to increase output was they were getting some heat from Donald Trump. That wasn't the only thing. If they had not decided to increase production, we'd be in a world of hurt right now. They really have very little to none, like no spare capacity left. So that's kind of scary that Saudi Arabia and the rest of OPEC has little to no spare capacity left. So if anything does happen with any other disruptions, we're kind of screwed. Venezuela continues to decline, and then Iran, that remains to be seen how much supply we're going to lose and how many countries are actually going to not take imports from Iran. That's a big question mark in the market right now, and just how much or how little Iranian oil gets imported is going to have a huge impact on Iran oil prices. Currently it's expected 1 to 1.5 million barrels by November. Donald Trump wants to take it to zero. They were producing close to 3 million prior to the sanctions. I just don't see that happening on a lot of different levels, that is going to get taken to zero. First off, there's a lot of different ways that Iran can export oil under the table, and they did that when they're under sanctions under Obama, and they'll continue to do that with Trump, no matter how hard he presses. And second big thing is, if we do get Iran to zero exports, we would have a huge shortage in oil, and honestly, oil prices would spike to, who knows what it would spike to. Easily over $100, if not 150, 200. Pick your number. If Iran goes to zero, we don't have that much spare capacity left, because there's been such a huge underinvestment in oil and producing or finding new fields and that produce oil. So if we do get that to zero, it's game over for oil prices. And honestly, that's going to be kind of scary, because that would send us into a huge recession, and that would actually not be good for anything, for oil, oil stocks, anything like that. If we got a spike initially, oil stocks would spike with the price of oil, but that would easily, just like back in 2008 when prices spiked to 150. We had a lot of other problems back then, but that was a huge factor in causing that recession. Or like I said, there's a lot of different things back then that was going on, not just oil related, but that was definitely a very big contributing factor to that. And also geopolitically, Iran has been not responding well to sanctions and threats from Donald Trump. He tweeted like a week ago saying that we're a nation of no threats anymore, and that's Iran didn't really respond well to that. They actually, not Iran directly, but Yemen actually sent 2 missiles towards 2 Saudi oil tankers crossing through one of the straits that they go through, and that actually closed a straight down for still closed. It's been closed for like 2 or 3 days now, and that actually there's like 5 million barrels of oil per day that gets sent through there. So that's a huge geopolitical thing that's going on right now. And honestly, oil hasn't really responded much to that. Still definitely not really pricing in a lot of these geopolitical factors that could very well, make oil skyrocket. Which honestly, I don't want to happen. Even if we don't get Iran to zero, if we just like reduce their imports to like 1.5, that's going to be very constructive to oil, and so that's pretty much the extent of what's been going on geopolitically. Now I want to kind of go over some of the inventory numbers and what we've been drawing down the last few weeks. So last week we reported a draw of about 5 million barrels of oil in the US versus expected 2 million. So this is somewhat bullish. Gasoline is also starting to draw down quite rapidly as well. Inventory levels are hovering right around 400 million barrels of oil. And just to give you kind of a backdrop, back in from like 2010, 2013, and 2014, we had inventory levels averaging anywhere from right above 300 to 375 million barrels of oil in storage. So we're getting very close to that level. Like I said, right now we're just right above 400 million. And a few more draws and we'll be getting very close to the magic 350. At that level, that's why I see very constructive for oil and oil prices. This is where I see 80 plus oil very easy, if not 100 to 120 if we go below that and there's really no excess capacity, which like I said, there's not much. That's where you can see 100 plus easy. Otherwise, once we drop down to that 350, I do very, very much expect $80 plus oil. The 350 number, probably not until next year into 2019. It also depends on Donald Trump is planning a release of SPR, which is our reserves, which are supposed to be used for emergency uses, but he's using it to, I guess, release it to, who knows why with him. But yeah, that will have an impact on oil prices. 30 million is not that much. It's not going to impact the prices all that much. In the short term, it will have an impact on that, but long term, it will have zero impact on oil prices. So I think it's very stupid that he's doing this, because long term, this is going to do nothing to impact oil prices and just the huge imbalance that we have going on right now. And here's a chart that shows the impact of what the SPR will have on inventory levels. If he doesn't release the SPR, we will be pretty much right at the 350 mark by the end of 2018. And that's just going off projections on what the implied demand and supply is going to be, which I do follow HFIR on Seeking Alpha, and he has been spot on with his predictions in inventories and just oil prices in general. And I would definitely recommend checking out his articles. I'll link some of those down below. Definitely a great resource to use. That's pretty much the main source that I use for oil data. He's, like I said, spot on. And then the other chart shows with SPR, because it's not, he did get approved by Congress to release the 30 million, but it's not like a for sure thing that's going to happen. And with the SPR, by end of year, it's projected to have around 375 inventory levels. So still drawing down even with SPR. That's very constructive for oil. Into 2019, I do believe we're just going to see this really just worsen quite a bit, the balances, and it's really going to start to show, with Saudi Arabia not being able to increase production, and just with us continue to decline inventory levels, I really don't see many bearish factors for oil. There's always going to be some, and the big uncertainty really remains with Iran and what happens with their supply. How much are we going to be able to reduce? That's really the big question mark. Either way, we're still going to remain in the deficit. It's just really a matter of how much of a deficit are we going to be in? So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to give a quick update on oil. And also, I mean, oil stocks are still kind of lagging, especially the oil servicing stocks and ETFs. Those are really lagging, and that's what I am looking at, buying into going forward. If you haven't already, check out my last video. That's a great video. I go over, how undervalued some of these servicing companies are compared to the price of oil and just historical oil prices. It's pretty amazing, actually. The arbitrage opportunity that's I believe is present in that. Like I said, I'm going to be releasing more frequent videos here, at least once a week, if not 2 to 3 times a week, and also delving into topics that aren't oil related. So if you haven't already, subscribed, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.